Is Six Flags Over Georgia in big trouble? Six Flags Over Georgia was the second Six Flags park ever, dating back decades. The park is known as the only major theme park in the entire state of Georgia. Well, that is until now. That's right, another major theme park is coming to Georgia, and it's gonna be located less than 45 minutes away. Join me today as I explain exactly why Six Flags Over Georgia may be in huge trouble. Six Flags Over Georgia is definitely not one of Six Flags' favorite parks. They never got a 4D free spin, and since it's Six Flags we're talking about, that's saying a lot. Now, a new theme park is starting up and is about to drive competition to Six Flags Over Georgia. Let me explain exactly what's going on here. Fun Spot Atlanta was purchased by Fun Spot America back in 2017. Now, this park was a small park, in fact, a very small park. And even though it's located only 40 minutes from Six Flags Over Georgia, it didn't really cause competition to Six Flags. Now, if you noticed, I said didn't, and that is because on May 25th, 2021, everything changed. On May 25th, 2021, Fun Spot Atlanta announced a brand new coaster. Now, before I explain how this affects Six Flags Over Georgia, we need a little more information. They announced the coaster will be an RMC coaster and will be their most expensive coaster yet. They didn't say exactly what it will be, but we can definitely speculate. Firstly, we can look at RMC's models. RMC offers 3 different coaster models: the Raptor, the iBox coaster, and the Family Hybrid coaster. Now, the Family coaster likely wouldn't cost so much, and I don't think will be their biggest investment yet. The iBox coaster is also not the likely option, because Six Flags Over Georgia, a few minutes down the road, just got a new RMC in 2018 with Twisted Cyclone. That leaves the Raptor. The RMC Raptor has been becoming extremely popular lately, and parks across the country are purchasing them left and right. 4 already are open, bunch more are confirmed, with some more rumored Raptors. But the success of the Raptor is the topic for another video. This video is about Six Flags Over Georgia. They are in huge trouble. If Fun Spot opens an RMC Raptor clone in 2021, Over Georgia will lose a ton of their guests to Fun Spot. Over Georgia also has been having a lot of complaints about the overall park experience lately, so that won't help them either. Now, it's 100% possible Fun Spot gets the RMC, iBox, or Family Coaster, but I honestly think it will be the Raptor. Either way, Over Georgia is in huge trouble. Six Flags Over Georgia doesn't get the greatest coaster additions. If Fun Spot opens an RMC, that will send a blow to Over Georgia, and Fun Spot may continue to add better coasters than Over Georgia over the years and become the better park. I will say Fun Spot isn't becoming the best park in Georgia just from an RMC. Over Georgia has an RMC plus a bunch more awesome coasters, but it will definitely set them on the right track. The real question is how much it will hurt Over Georgia. When a park that previously had little or no competition suddenly gets competition, there are different ways to go about it. King's Dominion was getting competition from BGW and Cedar Fair decided to give up. On the other hand, Great Adventure was getting competition from Hershey Park and Six Flags decided to install a massive Raptor. One of the good things about Six Flags is they won't let a good park get overshadowed by competition. So was Six Flags Over Georgia really in huge trouble? That depends. You see, if Six Flags already had a planned coaster for Six Flags Over Georgia for 2022, then they will open a coaster the same year as Fun Spot. That means one of 2 things. Either Over Georgia doesn't get another new coaster for the next decade, or they get a new one in 3 years. Let me explain. If Six Flags Over Georgia opens a new Mack Power Splash in 2022, when Fun Spot opens their RMC, the Power Splash won't do anything for the park at all. They will probably also lose money and see a decrease in attendance, losing guests to FunSpot. But if Over Georgia is opening a big coaster, like an Axis coaster maybe, then the hype on Over Georgia's coaster will overshadow the hype of the RMC coming to FunSpot, and Over Georgia will likely do a lot better than they thought, which would lead the chain to want to invest more money in that park. It's also possible Over Georgia won't open a coaster in 2022, in which case there's two possibilities. Number one, Over Georgia opens a new coaster in 2023, and number two, they don't open a coaster in 2023. If they open a new coaster in 2023 that is actually a good addition, they will likely remain competitive to FunSpot, as I just explained. However, if they don't add a new coaster, then they will be 5 years with no new coaster when a competitive park down the road just got an RMC. That will likely hurt Over Georgia and lead them down a terrible path. Now, I'm going to explain how Over Georgia can fix this issue and what I think the likely scenario is. The fact is, Over Georgia isn't opening a $30 million B&M Giga coaster or any coaster anywhere near that price, so I will try to keep it realistic. If Over Georgia opens a new SNS Axis coaster in 2022 or 2023, whether it be the first or not, that would be amazing. Six Flags Over Georgia never got a 4D free spin from SNS, so they would be the best Six Flags park to get the Axis coaster. I know they don't get prototypes, but if Fiesta Texas gets it in 2022, Over Georgia can get a smaller Axis for 2023. That will mean they would have a coaster with arguably more hype than any RMC. That will lead Over Georgia to massive success, and in my opinion, I think that would move the park higher up on the Six Flags priority list over the next decade. Now for the likely scenario, I honestly think the typical Six Flags style will be to add a 4D free spin to Over Georgia in 2022. As much as I don't think it's the best option, it isn't the worst either. Will a 4D free spin compete with the RMC? Probably not, but it will still do something. Over Georgia just got an RMC in 2018, and if they add a free spin in 2022, I think they will remain competitive and remain a semi-neglected park in the Six Flags chain. However, if they get the Axis coaster in 2022 or 2023, that's a chance for them to move up in the Six Flags priority list, as they will likely start performing better. Another possibility is, what if Six Flags already purchased a Raptor clone to open at Over Georgia for 2022? If that's the case, it would be pretty funny having two RMCs opening nearby the same year. This is totally possible, but it would be very interesting if it happens. There's also another possibility that is 100% possible, but also very sad. That is the possibility of them not opening a new coaster in 2022 or 2023. If they don't open a new coaster by 2023, they may end up getting neglected and moving down on Six Flags priority list. Over Georgia needs a new coaster, and they need a good one. If they don't get one soon, that will give FunSpot the opportunity to overtake them by continuously investing in new thrilling coasters. That would hurt Over Georgia a lot, leading them down a very bad path. Overall, Six Flags Over Georgia has a chance right now. They may become a much better park or a neglected park. The scary part is thinking that it all depends on one thing: what coaster Six Flags gives the park and when it comes. Six Flags has complete control of this park's future and the Over Georgia theme park future as well. Six Flags, if you're watching this video, please give Over Georgia a launched SNS Axis coaster in 2023. Anyway, hopefully FunSpot's new coaster doesn't lead Six Flags to give up on Over Georgia, and Over Georgia adds an awesome coaster leading to competition, and competition can very well lead to more coasters. What do you think? How do you think FunSpot's RMC coaster will affect Over Georgia? Let me know in the comments.